Hey, welcome back to the Expat Money Chat. Now, I've had a bit of a break from YouTube. I've had a lot of things going on, work-wise, etc. And also I kind of wanted to do something a little different with the channel. We've created a lot of great content already. However, there are certain areas that I wanted to discuss which I think are absolutely, what's the word I'm looking for here? Dangerous is probably the best thing I could say for not just wannabe investors, but investors alike. And that would be these kind of online influencers that are like selling courses, etc., etc. And I wanted to create a series that would cover 5 of the kind of bigger ones out there in the online sphere. So without further ado, let's get into it. The first one that has come onto my radar is Tai Lopez. And my question about Tai Lopez is he teaching wealth? Or selling the dream? Maybe even delivering a nightmare? If you've spent any time on YouTube, Instagram, you'll have seen this guy standing in front of Lamborghinis, walking through mansions, surrounded by books, never a bad thing as long as he reads them, I guess, and talking about becoming rich. He's built one of the biggest personal brands in online entrepreneurship. Millions watch his video, hundreds and thousands have bought his courses. Some seem to have not had that much success from what I've read online. Disclaimer, I could be wrong. And he's become one of the most recognisable faces in that space. But here's the question every investor should ask. Is Tai Lopez genuinely teaching how to build wealth? Or has he become wealthy primarily by teaching how to teach people how to become wealthy? And those aren't necessarily the same thing. Today, we're looking at what Tai Lopez gets right, where the biggest criticisms come from, and why blindly following any financial guru can be, or self-proclaimed financial guru, should I say, can be an expensive mistake. So again, let's get into it. So who is he? Who is Tai Lopez? He first became famous, to my knowledge, through Here Is My Garage advert. You probably remember it, a Lamborghini, a huge library, a famous line about valuing knowledge. It was one of the most successful online advertisements ever created. Behind the marketing, Tai represents himself as an entrepreneur, investor, lifelong student of business. Over the years, he's launched online educational businesses, mentoring programs, book clubs, e-commerce businesses, and acquired several established brands, to my knowledge. So there's little doubt that he's an exceptional marketer, no doubt about that. And that's actually the first lesson. Being an exceptional marketer does not automatically make someone an exceptional investor. These are two completely different skill sets. So, without being too harsh, I wanted to kind of share, what does Tai Lopez get right? And let's be fair, there are things that he teaches that are genuinely useful. You know, reading regularly, I don't think there's anyone would dispute that. You know, learning sales, very important, learning how to communicate with people. Not just to sell products, but just in life in general. Improving communication, again, fits into the above. Developing business skills, I mean, can't really fault that. Taking responsibility for your own education. These are all really valuable ideas. I don't think there are any successful entrepreneurs that would disagree with that. He also encourages many people to start businesses rather than relying entirely on employment. That's a little bit different. We can cover that in another video. I mean, there's a lot of caveats to that. The problem begins when motivation turns into monetization. And that's where we come on to some of the biggest criticisms. Tai Lopez has often been criticised for selling aspiration first and education second. That's not something I agree with at all. Think about the imagery, you know, luxury cars, private jets, huge houses, designer watches. This is powerful messaging. if you buy what I'm selling, this lifestyle could be yours, quote unquote. Psychologists actually call this aspirational marketing. And, it works, right? There's no doubt about that. That's why companies spend billions on advertising each year. And it works because human beings naturally associate success with credibility. But there is a problem. Owning expensive things doesn't necessarily prove someone has discovered a reliable, repeatable investment strategy. I mean, who knows? These could be hires, leases, like bought on credit cards. I'm not saying they are, I'm just saying they could be. And it doesn't even necessarily prove they're wealthy. It doesn't prove how they became wealthy. And that's a really important distinction. Courses worth thousands. This is something I'm not into at all. Another big criticism and concern, I guess, is the pricing of online education. Some of the programs that are promoted by Tai have cost hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Now, education absolutely is worth paying for. There's no doubt about it. I've invested heavily in my own education over the years, whether that be, from when I worked at a bank to, my reading to courses from legitimate people on various different topics. So I guess the question is whether the return on that investment is realistic for the average buyer, or would you be better off just sticking the same amount of money in an index tracker or in a fund or whatever it may be. Many people purchase expensive courses believing they'll transform their financial future. The reality, no course can replace years of experience, disciplined execution, and good judgment. Buying information is easy. Applying it successfully is incredibly difficult. That's just the reality. And also the lifestyle trap. This is the big one. One of the biggest dangers isn't Tai Lopez himself. It's what I would call lifestyle bias. Humans naturally assume expensive car, big house, designer clothes, all mean expert. But financial history is full of wealthy people who made fortunes in one industry while offering questionable advice in another. Someone can be brilliant at marketing and an average investor. Someone can build a fantastic education business without possessing the business investment philosophy or acumen to get it out there. Always separate the business model from the advice. Social proof isn't evidence. That's another psychological trap, right? Millions of followers, thousands of testimonials, huge Instagram views, YouTube views. None of these prove at all that the financial advice works. Popularity is not evidence. Investing, evidence comes from things like long-term audited performance, risk-adjusted returns, consistency over decades, transparency, reliability. Those metrics are far more important than subscriber counts. And the biggest danger, in my opinion, is not really losing money in a course. It's developing unrealistic, should I say, expectations. Social media often compresses a 10-year journey into a 30-second clip. Now, come on, that's just not possible. You don't see the failures, the businesses that didn't work, the luck involved, and luck does play its hand, the other people that helped them. Instead, viewers begin believing wealth is only one course away, and it just really isn't. Real investing simply does not work that way. Alright, building wealth is usually slow. It can be a bit boring, it's like diversifying, being consistent, regular saving, managing risk, avoiding catastrophic mistakes, which could be something like buying a course. And boring often beats exciting, in my humble opinion. So what should investors do instead? Whenever someone is selling financial education, ask yourself a few questions, right? How exactly did they make their money? Would they still be wealthy if they stopped selling courses tomorrow? Can their results be independently verified? Are they publicly available? And finally, would you still follow them if they never showed off all these luxury cars, houses, etc., etc.? If the answer to the last question is no, you're probably following the lifestyle rather than strategy. So I guess the final verdict is Tai Lopez a fraud? I don't think that's the right question. A better question is this. Is he one of the greatest marketers of our age? Almost certainly. But no, you can't really dispute that. You know, he's definitely got himself out there. Has he helped people think differently about businesses? Yes. Should every investor blindly follow his financial advice? Absolutely not, because successful marketing, and I'll say this again, successful marketing and successful investing are two totally different disciplines. As an advisor who spent, many years helping build long-term wealth, I've learned one simple truth. Real wealth, and I mean real wealth, really looks glamorous. It really doesn't. It's built patiently over decades, not through viral adverts, not through Lamborghinis or watches. I mean, I like watches too, but they're not investments. You could lose money on them. Lamborghinis, expensive uptake. And certainly not through believing that someone else's lifestyle guarantees the quality of their advice. So throughout this series, I'm going to give each of the people that I cover a danger score. And for old Tai, I would put the marketing influence, danger score 10 out of 10. The educational value, 6.5 out of 10. Evidence behind the wealth claims, they appear to be mixed. Risk for average investors, I'd put this pretty high, 7.5 out of 10. And that would give me an overall danger score of 7.5 out of 10. Not because everything he says or teaches is wrong, but because confusing exceptional marketing with exceptional investing can be an expensive mistake. So if you enjoyed this video and, hit the subscribe, hit the like. On the next video, we're going to be looking at one of the most controversial figures in this space. It's old Grant Cardone, and trust me, that is a conversation that's going to be even more interesting. So if you found this this is a bit of a longer video. If you found it useful, hit the follow, hit the subscribe. There's a lot more of these to come. And so thanks for taking the time to watch. Much appreciated. Expat Money Chat. We've got loads of really exciting content coming up for you. Thank you for taking the time to watch. Cheers.